Libra. Welcome to your April reading. All right, before we begin, I would just like to remind you that this is Jungian Tarot, which means we're taking a look at how you process, why you think the way you think, and we're meshing that with the astrological transits of the month, which are just seasons and cycles that we have been observing for a long time. So this is not predictive tarot or astrology. This is understanding the seasons and the cycles and why they affect you the way they do and why they bring up what they do and what you can do to work with it to make your life better, to know yourself more. All right, now that caveat's out of the way, so there is quite a lot of emotional upheaval in April. There's something you just gotta say, or some truth that just really wants to come out. It's not going to be denied anymore. There's nothing you can do to hide it. This energy, this judgment energy is like, let everyone know. And it has this very daunting sort of effect on the person being read. So I get it. It's like, what is it? It's something of yours. It's your truth. It's not someone else. The emotional upheaval is coming from you. The Six of Swords, traditionally speaking, the message here being, you've got to glean something from this experience. Don't let this be for nothing. What makes this truth coming out or you bringing this truth up worth it and not something just done in vain? And not something done just because the transits are pushing you to break out of a rut. You may feel like you're in a rut. You may have even been promoted or gotten engaged or whatever. So you should feel like you're out of the rut, but you don't. And then there's all these trigger points in April where you can emotionally overstep and feel like, oh, I'm out of my rut. But really you'll be burning bridges that you have to walk over again. So now if you're dealing with a fellow air sign, they can decide that they want to be very aggressive in April, which is a bummer. And if you're still with the person and they're not an ex, whether they're an air sign or not, it just doesn't seem like they're being very considerate of you and what you're going through in your life. Which sucks because you go out of your way to remember what's going on with them and make things special and, populate your life with fun times, but they seem so disconnected, so far away. It's the transits as well, pulling you apart. So don't take it too personally and don't be quick to blame them either. 7 of Pentacles, 6 of Pentacles, and the Hermit. So there's a little bit of a money slowdown, but I think it's meant to turn your attention inward. Kind of take a look at if you're proving to yourself something, if you're living up to your own expectations, if you're perhaps the money becomes slow because you're taking an easy way out, or there is something more that you want for yourself, but you're not doing it out of perhaps fear or laziness or everything in between. It doesn't matter. The point is you start to feel that nagging, it's like, I got to think about this. Like, so what is it that's keeping me from doing things I could pretty easily implement and be much better off and be much happier? What's keeping me from doing it? And I think once you get into that Hermit energy, what you'll find is that it's really scary to admit, your dreams to yourself. Just look at how many major arcana, it's really scary. It's really scary when you start to dream and then you start to dream really, really big and people try to tell you well, if you have success in this, and then you don't get to have love. But if you have love, then you don't get to have success. But if you have success and love, then you don't get to reframe your narrative or reinvent yourself. And if you have all that, then you definitely don't get to have the world. And Libra's like, but if I'm going to go for it and I'm going to put everything I have into it, then I want it all. And maybe that's why I don't try, because if I'm going to go for it, I want it all. Now, the irritating part, if you're with someone, is that as you're going through these changes, they seem to have all the concern and all the care for other people and what they're going through and aren't really seeing you. That's the worst part. Now, why that's happening, that's a deeper conversation. We'll get into that in the extended. But I think it's more about you realizing that you're maturing and your road is starting to, diverge a little bit from their road. This could also be with a friendship. It could be with a job. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. But your energy is just leveling up and it's getting more refined. It's more grown up and it's more, dare I say, classy, elegant. You're starting to play with themes that are very relevant to your sign, but perhaps you haven't quite embodied yet. So if someone isn't also starting to lean that way, they do start to seem a bit disconnected. And no, they aren't really that aware of what you're into or what you're going through, obviously, because they aren't able to keep pace, nor do they seem like they want to. If that's the case, it's very possible around the solar eclipse on the 30th that there are some breakups. Okay. And the reason breakups can occur around the 30th is because you clearly see what you need. And then if there's someone around and you can see that they're clearly not what you need, yeah, so that. Now, regardless of if this is a romantic partner or friendship or just a person, there's some conversation about money that's really, really important that needs to be had. And again, it can be a conversation with yourself, as we discussed when the 7 and the 6 came up. There is a talk that needs to be had about money, and you need to tell the truth, and you can't wait anymore, because if you wait anymore, it's going to be too late. And what do I mean by that? Only you know, because it's your money situation. But if I had to take a guess, it's going to turn out to be something like, it's no use doing business with people if you're not going to be able to talk about money with them and ask them when they owe you money. And like, business doesn't work if talking about money is taboo, and that's not something you can do. Or you need to then structure your business in a way that you don't have to do that talking, that someone else is doing that talking for you. And that's also fine if that's what you want to do. But you can't just not talk about it. You can delegate that to somebody else, cool, but you have to still talk about it, especially in situations where it seems a little bit icky. Maybe you're spending a lot of time with someone and it's not really clear like who pays for what, and it's starting to kind of annoy you. There's a million different scenarios where this can happen, but the point is there is a money conversation that needs to be had because you're not happy about the dynamic. So now, one of the things about these 4 cards here is that they do leave you very exposed. So if there is something that you want to be telling the truth about, then you should do it before the world comes looking for your truth. There's a lot of new opportunities, a lot of different things that are going to come up that aren't just making you a lot of money. They're also making you really proud. You're seeing the fruits of your labor, and you're like, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I studied for that. Yeah, I created that. Yeah, it's a great feeling to create revenue streams or create relationships or create children or create and be able to sit back and watch the thing or the person or thrive and say, yeah, I had a hand in that. So there's a lot of that in April, and it also fuels this drive in you, this self-esteem to be like, yeah, I've done this before. I can do it again. Maybe I do want to have another baby. Maybe I do want to open another business. Maybe I do want to. And if you do it now and you don't really go to anyone else to see what they think and do your own thing, it'll be great. And it'll be one more, thing you can add to your list of like, yeah, I crushed that. I did that. Okay. And then finally, we're up to number 11. Anyone who's financially tied to you, whether it's, like I said, whether it's a new relationship or a new employee or you're a new employee, there's something around money, a person who's tied to you somehow financially, where it just becomes a problem. The way they're spending money, the way they've been allowing you to spend money, there's right? Conversely, it could be the way that they're allowing you to spend money. Whatever it is, especially if you have a Libra moon, whatever it is, where that money dynamic is off balance, the conversation needs to be had because the spending is out of control. So either prepare for that conversation because someone's going to have it with you, or be the one to have that conversation. And just be really honest. Like, listen, I recently have done this. Sometimes you just have to say, like, listen, I can't afford you. You know? Sorry. And then on the 30th, number 12, here we go. On the 30th, there is this solar eclipse. And it's super emotionally charged, and there's a lot of damage control going on around the 30th. There's a lot of care needed for your heart, right? It's an opportunity to get a lot of rest and get really spiritual. And remember that things are gonna be fine, right? But around the 30th, you have this moment where you're like, of course. And if you let yourself, you could get stuck there, but you don't have to, because you have to remember all the great things that you have. But it can be, the 30th can be emotionally very jarring, but it gives you, like it's so obvious here, like it's put so well, the Ace of Wands and the Four of Swords. It gives you an opportunity to get a lot of rest, to reconnect, to, you know, delve deeply into your spirituality, to trust your intuition, because something on the 30th is revealed to you and it's very emotionally charged, and it's like, it's the piece of the puzzle you've been looking for. And you knew it was somewhere and you couldn't find it. And like somehow the puzzle makes no sense without this one piece, and then you're like, and then you see it, and then you can't unsee it. So the 30th is very important. There's no way to do damage control for the damage control day, because that's where your mind is going right now. Just let it happen. Whatever it is, just know in your heart and have faith that it's the best thing for you to find out and to know. It doesn't have to be earth-shattering. It's just something that's emotionally very charged, and it's something that you perhaps were on the other side of. Generally, to me, this feels like someone you were sticking up for, or someone you were vouching for, or someone you had faith in or invested in, and they turn out to be a disappointment, or they're not as stable as you thought they were. They're not as long-term. They're not as durable as you thought they were. And that's not the end of the world. But if you're looking to make your life with somebody, or if you're looking to make your, you know, start a company, or, you know, continue doing business with someone and they can't. So, I love you. Let's look at these cards. Hi, Libra. Welcome to the second part of your reading. Okay, so that Judgment card. Whatever it is that needs to be said, we're going to go over the traditional meanings of each card in the extended. We're going to go over how the different signs interact with each other in April, but also in May. But for now, let's look at what we have in front of us. You can feel so disconnected from someone that you may have felt totally connected to just a few weeks ago. It seems as if they're pulling away, and that may prompt you to, you know, kind of push towards them, chase them a little bit. Don't. They want some kind of proof from you. like, it could go like, you know, I need you to make more of an investment in this. I need you to put more money or more time into this. It can also be, you know, I want you to be more public about us. It's something basically about their insecurities, but it's being put on you like you have to prove something. Excuse me. And you can tell that that's what it is, which makes it even more uncomfortable. You know, because you know what's actually going on, but you can't really say it because then the other person will be upset. Now, if you're a Libra Moon, you may be experiencing this as someone that you're close to and you wish would be more open or public or effusive about you, and they're not. And they even seem to be pulling away and you're not really sure why. So it doesn't have to just be romantic. Okay, so that's how you're feeling, or that's how you're feeling over the next 7 days or so until Mars moves into Pisces, and then it gets even more confusing. But what do you know? You know you want to invest in things that are long-term. You know you want to upgrade your lifestyle. You know that you're not afraid to work for that. And you know that whatever comes next, you want it to be a certain way, and you're willing to do the things it takes to make it that way. So then the question becomes, what doesn't fit? Because the more your vision crystallizes and the more confident you are about how you want your life to be structured, and more importantly for you, how you want it to look, the more the things that don't fit in come into glaring relief. Here, you know, here it is. It's sticking out. It doesn't belong. Well, what do you do with that then? What do you do as you're changing, evolving, leveling up, and it's just becoming apparent that there are certain people, whether they're your friends or colleagues or partners or whomever, are just not keeping up? Or they're not maturing with you. They're not developing with you. At the eclipse, at the solar eclipse on the 30th, you just can't take anymore. Until then, you're very contemplative about it. You know, you're trying your best to just, you know, yeah, okay, I'm thinking about it and I'm trying to make sense of it. I don't want to judge anyone. But then it just becomes so clear to you, you know, on the 30th, that your life is meant for a lot more than kind of having to be somebody else's hype person and motivating them to stay on their road. That gets old really fast. And there are a lot of people who are equipped to do it. But not you, you know, not that you can't do it. Of course you could do it. You could do anything, but it's not really your jam. You know, you start to remember at the solar eclipse, right at the end of the month, you're like, oh yeah, but what about me? Like, this has been fun and everything, but is it going to be like this like all the time? You know? Now, there are others of you who can have a great relationship, like very, very nice. You're doing really well. You're having these like big conversations about how you're on the same page about the really big things in life and everything is going well. Just tell the truth. Tell the truth. It's all going well. And I know that seems like the weirdest advice right now because it's like, no, everything's going well. You just said it's going well. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just tell the truth before it's too late. Because if you tell the truth now, while things are going great, whether it's a Scorpio, an Aquarius, a Gemini, if you tell the truth now, it will get resolved. If you wait past this really kind of calm, happy period and say it later, you're not going to look innocent no matter how you put it. It's about timing. Do it now. You won't upset things as much as you think you will. Waiting, on the other hand, will turn something that's really not that bad into, it'll just look bad. Okay, so aside from that, if you're not doing that, and if you're just like coming clean about whatever it is, because it's probably going to end up being something that's not a big deal, then things go very well. If you're trying to get into something more serious, I would just say be careful, because you do need a lot of this energy to be directed towards your revenue stream, new ideas, new businesses, and you need whoever is coming into your life to be well aware that so much of your time is taken up by other things. If they're not able to do that, they need to learn quickly, because they won't be able to stay in your life otherwise. Okay, all these new opportunities that are coming in, they're all tied up with your identity. A lot of them have to do with things that you personally, feel very strongly about. So this is a time where if someone new is coming into your life, they really need to, they need to be appreciative of who you are, because you are in a place in your life where you're doing things more based on what you believe than anything else. So if they don't like who you are, and if they're not interested in who you are, this is not a time period that's going to bring them closer. It's actually going to push them away. And if it does, let them go. Because you are doing things from a very genuine place. You're being very authentic. You're learning to live in your authenticity. You're learning to be okay with whatever perceived flaws you have and still not morph and change around other people. You've learned and you've come a long way. So anyone who would make you doubt that, or even through their own lack of grasping this and their own lack of understanding, kind of drag you back there, it's just not a good look. You know what I mean? You deserve to be able to celebrate and own your wins and own your evolution and own all the steps you've taken. And you can still be compassionate to anyone who hasn't taken those steps and hasn't learned how to do those things, but you don't need to be there with them. And there's a lot of that for you right now. I can help you, but I don't need to sit in the muck with you. But if your version of helping is me sitting in the muck with you, then I'm beginning to understand what the issue is here. Because look at, you can sit in the muck with them, or you can have some rebirth, have some star action, have some lovers action. Like there's all kinds of great things brewing in your life. So anyone who has a bunch of stuff going on in their own life, and this could be a really needy friend too, that just like won't let you, they won't let you, how do I put it? It's like they have like a guilt lasso around you. They won't let you forget about them. They're always on your mind. You're always kind of trying to, the way someone put it the other day on TikTok was so good. He said, do you have relationships in your life that make you feel like you left the stove on? Because if you have someone in your life that you've got to like kind of wonder if you left the stove on, and you've got to kind of handle them and manage them and damage control them, what your mind is telling you, even if your feelings don't want to face it, is that that person is a liability. And that's why you think in those terms about them. Anyone in your life who fits that description in April gets a bit of a jolt, and I think they've already gotten a few. But by May, it's just not happening. Let's talk more in the extended, and that will be up tomorrow morning. All the links will be below. There's also links for the LA event. I will be in London. I'm doing private readings in London for 3 days. The dates will be below. Information on how to book, all of that. Vimeo, Patreon is the easiest way to get the first part of the reading early, the second part, this part early, and the extended on Patreon. That link is below as well. Love you, love you, love you, love you.